In the last video we created a spiral lightning. The Protoss probe fired the lightning at a certain position and this portal appears at this position. And in this video we will create a shader for the portal. When we go to the side view, you can see that the portal is just a simple plane. In the lower window you can see the shader for this plane. The shader consists of 3 blocks: the main vortex, which looks like this, and the flame vortex with a mask. The outer mask is no longer necessary. I used it in the original version to make the outer region transparent. We start with the main vortex. I took the UVs from the texture coordinate node and plugged them into the mapping node. I subtract 0.5 from x and y axis. The subtraction translates the circle of the gradient texture into the center of our plane. Now we create the vortex pattern. We combine the output of the gradient texture and the mapping node in a mixed RGB node. The factor is 0.164. The result is plugged into the vector input of a noise texture with scale 12. The distorted noise pattern looks like this. When I set the factor of the mixed RGB to 1, we get the pure noise texture. When the factor is 0, we get the pattern of the gradient texture. Playing around with the value led to the value of 0.164. I set the noise texture to 40 and the W input is controlled by a driver. It is the number of the frame divided by 25. Since our vortex should only appear on the ring of the portal, I made a mask for the vortex pattern. I grabbed the UV coordinates once again and subtracted 0.5 from each axis. Again we use the gradient texture with the setting spherical and the color ramp creates the ring. The left slider is for the outer region, followed by a white slider and a black slider again for the center. Later in the video we will see that this pattern is used often with some variations in the color ramp. The rest of the vortex is easy now. We multiply the mask value with the vortex pattern. Because we multiplied 2 values in the range from 0 to 1, I multiplied the result with 2. After this I bring back the details with another color ramp. The result is multiplied by 20 and plugged into the strength of the emission shader. I set the mode of the color ramp to B-spline and the black slider has the value 0.641. The color of the emission shader is a deep blue. That's all for the main vortex. Now we add the flame vortex for an additional effect. For this effect we need a node group from my video procedural flame shader. I uploaded the project to Google Drive. You find the link in the video description. Download the project and append the shader into the project. Go to File, Append and navigate to the download location. Double click on the project and navigate to Materials and append the flame material, Flamme in German. I open the project Procedural Flame. The shader node graph is in the lower left window. We want to build a node group. The first step is to delete the upper texture coordinate node. Connect the UV output with the mapping node and move the remaining texture coordinate node to the side. Hold down the left mouse button and select these nodes. Press Ctrl+G to build a node group. Exit the node group with Tab. You can remove the color output if you want or just don't use it in the portal project. After we brought the node group to our project, the remaining flame vortex is very easy. I copied the distortion node group from the main vortex. I used a slightly different translation, -0.3 in x and -0.4 in y direction, and a different factor, 0.392, in the mix RGB node. The flame shader with the distorted UV coordinates looks like this. I multiplied the value by 20 and copied the emission shader from the main vortex. The flame vortex should not appear on the entire plane, instead it should also form a circle. So I copied the mask setup and set the interpolation mode of the color ramp to cardinal and the black slider has a position 0.248. We multiply this value with the output of a node group. We can use this value for the mix shader. The black areas should be transparent and the white areas should display the emission shader. The result looks like this. While recording the video, I noticed that I can simplify the node graph. I made another mask with a black area in the center and the white surrounding. The mix shader adds a black circle with a diffuse shader. At the end, we need to combine the flame vortex with the main vortex with a simple edge shader.